Today marks 1271st day sharing lessons I learn and continue to learn with all of you. My hope that these insights will inspire you, support your dreams, help achieve your goals, and really empower you to become the person that you want to become. Today, I want you to imagine. Imagine that you are a day trader of gold. And maybe you're already a day trader of gold in real life. But when I think about real life, I think there's a lot of assets in our lives that we need to buy more of or sell off. Those golden things, those golden assets are important. But sometimes if you're buying too much, maybe it's not right timing for that gold because, as you know, gold goes in value, goes in price, and goes lower. So that means some days you want to buy, some days you want to sell if you want to make the most of our budget, our money. And I think that exactly the same is in life. Sometimes the great things, great assets in our lives could be used in a positive value, and sometimes could be not used in about most positive way. So today we'll share six goals, six assets that we need to really understand when to buy, and because I will share those buying signals, when to buy them, and then potentially think about selling them off. And what are those assets? So number one is solitude. The gold. It's very, very important because it's an asset of self-alignment. We want to have that gold. We want to buy that gold. But we need to understand when to use that. So when we need to supposed to buy solitude. Why aren't we supposed to buy that gold? And I think that we're able to really see yourself. Maybe we are people pleasing. Maybe we don't know who we are. Maybe we don't know where our thoughts are coming from. We don't know about our beliefs. That is a great time to buy solitude. And I think that it could be that we are a season in transition. You're a season in some change, in transformation. At that moment, you need a lot of clarity. And when we need a lot of clarity, what do you do? We need to buy more solitude. And what are those buying signals for solitude? Irritability, exhaustion of small talk, craving for silence, or maybe even desire to disappear for a second. And that desire for disappearance is not bad. That means that it's just buying signals for solitude, being able to really reflect on yourself, understand yourself, and really moving forward. We need to have that asset of self-alignment more into our lives. Now, but sometimes that you might be that you have so much that gold, that solitude, that it becomes not valuable anymore. There's too much of it. And it's losing its value, losing its price, and we need to sell it. And it might be that we using that solitude as a option to hide, to avoid conflict, to avoid pain. You don't want to feel pain. You're running away and running into solitude. So that means that solitude doesn't become gold anymore. It's too much of that gold, and it's not valuable. We need to sell it off. And I think that it might be that inspiring in that inner dialogue and too much, and then that you have that analysis paralysis. And sometimes you start to feel disconnected from the meaning. Sometimes when we're going too much into solitude, we potentially could lose the deep connection with the meaning that we're supposed to pursue. And that means when we're supposed to really sell that solitude, then really start to connect with people, because that's exactly the other side that we need to do, really connection with other people. Because we are social human beings, we are social creatures. And what is a balance of that goal? I think that the most important part is being able to really say that I have intentional solitude. I buy that time of solitude where I could reflect on myself, I could journal, I could walk, I could spend in nature, quality time when I'm able to reflect. Because solitude time is not equal solid time. Going to a place where you're able to reflect, where you're able to cultivate the time, where you're able to really think it through, and you come back, that is much more powerful than any people who are really disconnecting from themselves by watching movies, watching something else, scrolling, playing games, and they sometimes never have a chance to really connect with themselves, because all the time what they do, they disconnect to the external world rather than being going inwardly, and that is what true solitude is. Number two, gold that we need to have is discipline. And that's discipline is the gold and asset of structure and integrity. And I think that we need to understand that, like, when we need to have more gold, when. And I think that's how creeps in. And maybe you start to say that I don't trust myself anymore. That's just a that's a moment when you start to realize, okay, maybe I need to have more discipline in my life, more. I'll buy more of that. Maybe maybe you start saying that I will do tomorrow, mañana. I think that we need to understand that we need to. If you start to say that you start to hear that you're saying to yourself, that means we need to start buying more discipline. And then maybe that's your dream. It seems that's getting farther and farther away, and it means that discipline might be the thing that we need to buy right now, specifically right now. That's where we focus investing our most resources. And I think that what are the signals, buying signals for discipline? Scatter mornings. That's a great signal to really buy more discipline. Broken commitments to yourself. That's a massive. If you broken commitments to yourself and you start broken more and more because potentially could be in momentum of doing the same thing over and over again, and if you start to see that there is low momentum in towards moving to your success, and that's again buying signal of buying more discipline. But of course, discipline could go to different direction. If you're buying too much of it, it could be too much structure. That could away life hours. So it might be that you're obsessed with everything, every single detail. Not every single detail needs to be structured and disciplined. Everything like when you think about, I really love it that my mother said that you need to major in major things, and because a lot of times what people do, they minor in they major in minor things. They major in minor things. So that means in life, and again, what should we need to be disciplined at? What are the key aspects of our lives that we need to have that structure? Because we need to have that spontaneity and really when you do something impromptu. I think that's very very important to really live a life. And I think that sometimes joy feels like a reward rather than right. I think if we feel we need to feel joyful every single moment, that's not a reward. Reward could be something else, what you really want to have. But joy is reward. And I think that if you discipline yourself too much and go outside of the way, we start to see that if we do not discipline something, we will not get joy whatsoever. And I think that we need to understand that if we have too much discipline, we start to see that life is starting to become like a checklist rather than experience. Life's supposed to be experience. So what is it supposed to be? Well, I think that we need to really create discipline because discipline is a massive, massive important gold that we always need to buy. But we need to have that compassionate structure to understand that we we want to see life as a rhythm, not a prison. And I think that is and life is like created with rules, standards, not with very rigid rules. I think that when we're able to build that life, I think life could be so much more beautiful. Number three is vulnerability, and that is the asset of connection. Very important asset. Every single person needs to buy it that more into our lives, and that means that we can potentially crave for that connection, craving that, and of course we need to buy it if we're staying that. Because sometimes if we're not buying it, we stay that in a surface level. And every single person we connect, we're just staying in a surface. How are you? Good. How are you? Good. And that's it. We need to go beyond that. And it might be that we are bottling emotions. And it a lot of times people just don't want to be burdens on other people and they keep their emotions to themselves. And of course, those emotions could start to bottle because now expressed emotions are bottled. You want to show up authentically in love, in leadership, but you not can't because if you're not able to connect, of course, it will be very hard to do that. So, what are the buying signals of vulnerability? It could be numbness, feeling unseen, even surrounded with people, and resentment building inside because, of course, resentment is built a lot of times when there is emotions that are not expressed. It's very very important to express. So many negative things is coming out of emotions suppressed because there's a lot of inflammation, a lot of sickness are coming just because emotions are not expressed. So when we're supposed to sell vulnerability because too much vulnerability is not good either. So even it's gold, but if it's too much, it's not good. So if you use oversharing to receive validation, because I think that we're not supposed to seek validation from our sharing. We're supposed to share validation to help others, to help yourself, but not to get validation, not to get as I oh for you, not a victim. It's just being able to really express, just to express, not to be validated. You're exposing your raw wounds to people who can't hold them. This is very powerful. I think that sometimes people want to express their emotions and they express those emotions with people who are not able to handle them, and they get almost rejected and they not feel understood, and they don't want to share their emotions anymore because they feel that that's how every single person is. I mean, we need to be very careful with who we share our emotions, because some emotions are shared are too much. Some other people who have no, they don't have a cup, so when you pour into them, of course, it is nothing in there. And then you're exhausting yourself in the name of realness. I think that if you want to be real, sometimes not sharing is the best way to do things. Something is we need to understand that choose safe containers to express your emotions, because that is one of the most important things. And vulnerability is a flood, it's not a channel. Isn't a flood. Like, vulnerability is not a flood, it's a channel. So that means you need to be able to really find a way how we able to channel this vulnerability for the better, because vulnerability is for the better, not for the worse. Something that we need to understand, that vulnerability is a powerful tool that you can use to express yourself and really help others. Because if you use vulnerability, I think that is one of the most powerful things that we're able to do to help others, because that allows you to connect with people, and of course, when you connect with people, you're able to lead people. Number 4, gold is rest, the asset of regeneration. We need to regenerate. I think that is so many people, including myself. Rest is very, very hard for me. I want you really always to do something, work on something, improve, and that rest sometimes is left behind, and sometimes it's not bought. It's almost like almost sold off for other things. And you need to understand that if you're being in a go mode for a long time, sometimes we need to really buy more gold, buy more uh, rest. And it might be that you start to feel that you used to have so much creativity, but for some reason this season of life you don't have the creativity, and that means that might be you just never had a chance to really rest properly. And it might be that you just running in the emotional fumes, right, in a true fire of emotions. You're just barely feeling some emotions, and it might be that it's a time for you to rest. So what are the buying signals for the rest? The brain fog, physical aches, it could be short temper, dread of things that really used to make you joyful. Those are the buying signals of rest. And I think that sometimes if you rest too much, again, this is again gold that could be overused. I mean, sometimes you need to sell off, because the rest becomes escape. If you're able to escape from growth, escape from life, it's like, oh, but I'm just resting. I will. I think the rest could be avoidance as well. So then you need to understand, like, are you resting because you want to regenerate, or do you resting because you want to avoid things? Because both of them are could be the reasons. You're procrastinating under the label of self care. Oh, I just now it's very important to regenerate. And again, this is procrastination, avoidance thing. We need to understand what is the reason for self care. What is the reason for that rest? And it might be that you're avoiding just a challenge. Because if I avoid challenges, like I want to rest a bit, then I will go out. And like I said, this is saying of tomorrow. And we need to understand that rest is intentional to really build yourself up, not to escape. Active rest, like plague things, I feel that sometimes is even more important, because a lot of times we do it in one spot. So we need to really find a way how to really rest in the highest possible way. Number 5 is ambition. This very powerful goal that we need to buy. This is the asset of forward motion. This is a very important asset, because we need to really improve. We need to really grow, to get better. I truly believe that that's one of the most important goals in life is ambition. That means it doesn't matter what is your values. If you want to be the best father, again, this is a massive ambition. I truly believe it. Just a forward in becoming the best father. If you want to really be the best business owner, it doesn't matter. Like, there's ambition in that. And that means that you are ready to rise in a new level. If you see, like, I'm stuck in this level, I'm ready to new, I need to buy more ambition. You're inspired by hesitant. This again, perfect time to buy ambition. You're playing small to keep other people comfortable. That means that sometimes we need to cut the people for a short period of time to really grow, improve, and really buy that ambition. So what are the buying signals of ambition? Boredom, envy of others doing what you want to do, And you have that inner itch. There is something that itching that you know that you're supposed to be doing, but you're not doing it. So that is again the buying signal of really buying more ambition. But if it's too much ambition, as again, this gold could be lose its price, lose its value. I think that if you sacrifice your most important values for ambition, like health, relationships, we might actually lose in the end of the day, because if we start to buy ambition with the goal that is potentially even more important than that ambition itself. It's fueled by fear and proving your worth. I think that ambition is supposed to be to prove to anybody. It's supposed to be fueled by really achieving something that is aligned with you, what you want to achieve. I think that's very important. And sometimes it's going to be that you forgot why you started in the first place. When you think of the start, that ambition, you pursue what you wanted, and after that, you start forgetting. I think that's very, very important to understand that start. Maybe you need to start sell off for a shorter period and really buy other assets where you're able to get the clarity necessary, and then you're able to buy back that ambition to really pursue the things that you want. So let ambition be rooted in your soul, not in scarcity. Don't just goals, just goals. Don't just chase them. I think grow into them. That's what's really matters when you're really looking into ambition. The last thing that I want to mention is that speaking your truth. That is again a massive goal. The asset of authentic power. The asset of authentic power. I think that we need to understand that we need to buy more of speaking the truth is that you silence yourself to avoid conflict or keep peace. You have something to stay that is dying inside. I really want to. Yeah, I have even an itch to say something. You feel misunderstood or misrepresented. That's a perfect time to really buy speaking your truth. So, what are the buying signals of speaking your truth? Throat tightness. Maybe you have a throat tight. That's where other people speaking and you want to speak, and where you have a throat tight. That is the best signal to really buy speaking your truth. Inner rage, passive aggressive behavior is an amazing time to really speaking your truth. And resentment. I think resentment is a lot of times is created because people don't speak their truth, and then they buy that asset, very important asset of authentic power. Now, of course, it could be that we have too much of it as well. We're speaking just to be right. I think sometimes we need to really speak only when is necessary, not to be right. I think that we need to really help somebody, and sometimes by being right will not help somebody. You unloading without really care for impact. You're just unloading, giving information just to give information, be seen as important, as intelligent, rather than really helping the person to learn, to educate. Because sometimes when you think about you are at a skill set from 1 to 10 at 9, or some other person has 2. If you're giving some information that's 7, 8, very intelligent, that person will not be able to gather information and will know no impact, zero impact. You're using truth as a weapon instead of a bridge. Using truth as a weapon rather than a bridge. I think that we need to understand that how we able to connect. Really being able to really share, to be connect with the person. I think that is very, very important. So I think that we need to understand that speak the truth with love and timing, because that's very, very important, because timing is very important. So when you give even a feedback is very important. Maybe they're going through the toughest season of life and you're coming with a terrible feedback that is not coming from timing and not coming from love. Of course, you potentially could hurt somebody, as that's why it is um, as a weapon. So it's less about volume, it's more about resonance. When is the best time to share and speak your truth? Speak your truth is enormously important goal, but you need to understand that there's timing for it as well. So I hope you should reflect as well. What are the most important goals you think that you need to buy? Because the timing is very important. When to buy certain goals and when to sell them off. And constantly, we need to be day traders. We are day traders of gold in our lives. Sometimes we need to have more solitude. Sometimes we need to have connection. Sometimes we need to have more other things. And when we're able to at least become the best day traders in our life, we're able to live a life of meaning, joy, purpose. And I think that I hope that you'll start looking into most important goals and say, like, how I could have more of those things into my life today, and buy them today and sell them today. So I hope you choose to win, and see you tomorrow.